Okay, welcome back to another training with Blue Equinox. This is Baron Solomon, and this is going to be the first in a six-part series on prospecting. The first is just basically an introduction to prospecting as a concept. We will be discussing cold calling. We'll talk about best practices for initial calls with executives, what tends to get best responses, and how you calculate exactly what you need to do to achieve the goals that we have for you as a company and that you have for yourself as an individual. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So purposeful prospecting is really what we're looking at here. We're trying to determine what makes a successful call. What comprises the necessary information required to get the appropriate response from the person that you're talking to. And the best way to do that, the best place to start, is to talk about cold calling. So cold calling is not an optional skill. Prospecting in general is the foundation upon which our sales position and any sales position is based. But in particular, cold calling is an extremely effective way, especially when you're just starting out with our company, to fill your funnel with opportunities. It's not an optional skill. It's 100% correct. No matter what job you're in, whether it's direct sales, indirect sales, partner programs, working in the channel, it doesn't matter what company you're with or what type of business you're in, at some point you're going to have to make some cold calls of some type. Whether you are working as an accountant or as a direct door-to-door salesperson selling a residential phone service, you are always going to eventually have to make at least one cold call. So it's best that you learn how to do it now, that you get the marbles out of your mouth, and that you get over the concept that you're going to be told no many times before you get a yes. It is going to happen, but it's happened to everyone, and it's something that everyone has to go through. So cold calling is a crucial building block of what prospecting is. The next thing I want to talk about is call reluctance. So who exactly feels call reluctance, and what is it? Well, call reluctance is when you've been, let's say you've put 2 days in a row where you've been making calls, you've been going to see businesses, you've been getting told no time after time after time. Call reluctance is that desire that you feel to not have to make any more of these cold calls, because cold calling can be a grind. There is a reason it is called work, but the reward for cold calling far outweighs any number of no's that you can get. So call reluctance, just know that it is something that everyone experiences, new salespeople, seasoned reps. It just absolutely does not matter. Everybody eventually experiences some sort of call reluctance, but hopefully we're going to teach you some techniques and some motivational tools to get you through that call reluctance and help you to the other side. So the first thing that I want to talk about after this call reluctance section is about the law of averages. So all sales jobs are merely a result of input equals output. You have to figure out what are my averages, what is my goal, how many calls do I need to make to achieve that goal. That's really what it boils down to. So as we're going through this first couple of examples, what we're going to be doing is showing you exactly how to figure out if my quota is $3,500 a month, which is an entry-level sales position. That's the quota, it's $3,500. What do I need to do? What type of activity do I need to put in to achieve $3,500 in service every single month? So what you're going to do is determine the average IT sales revenue. My average IT sales revenue is $1,200, so that's why we put that in there. An average deal for a customer of mine is $1,200, and I obviously need to sell 3,500, so I have to close 3 of those in a month. Well, what you want to do is determine your average close ratio. So for me, again, I say that I close 1 out of about every 3 customers that I present an IT solution to. Therefore, I need to present 9 total prospects in a month to hit $3,500 in closed sales. So the next thing that you want to figure out is how do you get those 9 customers? Well, to do that, you have to determine how many initial meetings you have to set to get those presentations. So if I want to sell $3,500, the average sale is $1,200. I have a 1 out of 3 close ratio. I need to present to 9 prospects, and then I determine that I deliver solutions or presentations to 1 out of every 2 prospects that I have an initial meeting with. Then obviously you can see that I need to present to 9. I get 1 out of 2, so I need to schedule 18 initial meetings per month. So then, how many calls do I need to make to get 18 initial appointments? Well, again, you can work your math backwards. I want to sell $3,500. My average sale is $1,200. I close 1 out of 3. Therefore, I need to present solutions to 9 prospects. I deliver presentations to 1 out of 2 prospects. I'm successful in getting an appointment 1 out of every 20 calls. So to get 18 initial appointments, I have to multiply 18 times 20, which equals 360 calls per month, is what I would need to make to close $3,500 worth of business. But we let you do that for yourself. So obviously the reason we hired you is because you're extremely intelligent and more than capable to use your entrepreneurial spirit and brain to figure out exactly what dollar amount you want to sell, how many calls you need to make, what your close percentage is. If you don't know, you can use mine, you can use less. It's really entirely up to you what you want to do to determine your metrics for selling the appropriate amount of service. So use this tab, or this page rather, as a tool. As you're moving through this, you can copy this. It's available for download. So feel free to fill in the blanks for yourself and determine exactly what type of activity, what type of prospecting you need to put in order to sell the amount of service that you would like to sell. So next we're going to kind of jump into just a little bit of what comprises a good prospecting call, a good initial call. The first thing that we're going to do is talk about the number one mistake that most prospecting salespeople make, which is just to talk about you. Nobody wants to hear all about me. People enjoy talking about themselves, whether that's a potential customer or a potential partner. It absolutely does not matter. They do not want to hear all about you all the time. So we're going to show you an example. Let's meet Larry. So Larry calls in, lets him know that his family is from Martha's Vineyard. He graduated from Harvard with an international economics and master's in negotiations. He's worked on Wall Street. He's owned his own hedge fund. He's beating the markets consistently. All of this is very impressive, but not worth sharing on an initial prospecting call. None of this contains any pertinent information about why Larry is calling and why they should take some time to listen to him. So information like this, while it might seem helpful to validate you as a salesperson, is really just a waste of time. You do want to develop rapport with the customer, but there are better ways to do that than to just throw all of your stats out there instantly about who you are and why you are qualified. You do want to talk about, who you are and what you do, but we'll get into that in a minute. So obviously we kind of covered this already. What would you be thinking? I would be thinking, this guy is a clown. Get him off the phone. I don't want to spend any more time talking to him. So, you want to make sure that you are absolutely 100% keeping the customer's best interest at heart. You want to make sure that while you're not quite as into yourself as Larry is, that you are sharing with the customer why it is important for them to listen to what you have to say. Talk about their business. Get them asking questions about how we can help their business. You want to understand and know exactly what it is, or you want them to understand and know exactly why it is you're calling, so that you don't fall into the me trap. It is easy to just start talking about yourself, talking about our company, talking about everything that we have going on, that you have going on. But the sooner you can get the customer talking, the better off you're going to be. So now let's talk about a better way. You want to talk about, increasing your closing percentage so that you'll have to make less calls per month. The way to do that is to make better calls. So one of the ways to improve the quality of your call is by looking for something to capitalize on. So, for example, Windstream Communications has had several outages in the Southeast region in the last year. That would be a compelling reason to call. You find a Windstream customer, you find the areas that Windstream has had an outage in. You can contact businesses in those areas to see if they have Windstream. You can use that as a catalyst for advising them to move away from Windstream into a new provider and capturing new business. You can use anything really to say you have an excuse to call an individual and make a prospecting call. It just gives you a lead-in, something to talk about. So, we're going to talk about scripts next, and we're going to talk about the first 20 seconds of the call, which in a lot of individuals' minds is the absolute most important time on the call. It's when you create that first impression, and you only have one chance to do that. So you want to make sure that you have everything prepared so that when you call them, you know exactly what you want to say, and you can show them the value that you can create for them inside their business. So, are scripts necessary? Absolutely 100% of the time, scripts are necessary. Otherwise, you're going to end up on the call, you're going to end up rambling about our company and our products and exactly what we sell. There's going to be no general direction to the call. You're not going to understand and effectively relay exactly why you picked up the phone to call them. So you want to make sure that you have a good script for you. We're going to share several scripts with you that we use for initial prospecting calls, ones that we want you to use. We obviously want you to take creative freedom with these. These are suggestions from us. This is what we know works. But if it doesn't feel right to you, we want you to put it in your own words. We absolutely want it to sound like it's actually you coming through the phone, because that's what's going to work. It's not going to work if you're just reading something off of a page, because then people are going to think that they're speaking to an auto attendant or somebody who works in a foreign country who doesn't really have any interest in what they're doing and what's going on inside their business. So, take the scripts that we give you, really read those, memorize those, learn how to use those, but ultimately we want you to put it in your words and to make it your pitch. So, next we're going to talk about the 3 elements of a prospecting call. So when you're comprising your script, what should you be looking for? Who are you? Why are you calling me? And WIIFM, which stands for What's in It for Me. So the first, hello, I'm Baron from Equinox 5 or Blue Equinox or ICCS or any of the other partners that we represent. People obviously need to know immediately who they're talking to. You don't need to make it extra flowery. Just tell them who you are, what company you work for. And again, you're just trying to get this in very quickly. You want to let them know exactly who they're speaking to without spending too much time talking about yourself. Why are you calling? This is the most important part. You have to get this out quickly, otherwise people are going to stop paying attention and they're going to want to hang up the phone. You want to say, hey, what you don't want to say is, I'm calling to sell you information technology services. You never want to say that I am calling specifically to sell you something. What you probably want to say instead, let's fix this. Okay, number 2, why are you calling? This is probably the most important part. You want to get this out quickly, otherwise people are going to lose interest and they're going to end up hanging up the phone. The first thing is what you do not want to say. So you never want to say, I'm calling to sell you information technology services. As it says, nobody wants to be sold. People do not want somebody to call in and be that upfront with them. Hey, I'm here to sell you stuff. That comes across as not being genuine, and you're not going to get anything accomplished that way. What you'd like to say instead is, I'm calling to talk to you about our latest products and services. I'm here to talk to you about backup of your crucial data. I'd like to talk to you about the benefits of working with a telecommunications consultant, and I'd love to show you exactly how our company can benefit yours at absolutely no cost to you. Number 3, what's in it for me? Well, we want to make sure that they understand exactly the opportunity that is in front of them. Well, I'm calling because I see that you recently experienced a major power outage at a number of your southeastern locations. We've been able to assist a number of similarly sized retail companies, such as name your company, head off the impact of these outages and help them get back up and running in 60% less time. Can I ask you a few questions to see if we might be able to help you as well? That is absolutely flawless. It lets them know exactly why you are calling and what is in it for them to stay on the line long enough to actually listen to what you have to say. You want to make sure that you are letting them know why they should stay on the line. That's the most important thing. So, obviously the what's in it for me approach, we just kind of just touched on this a little bit. You want to make sure that it's all about them. You want to let them know exactly why they should do business with you. You should be able to identify maybe a few pain points by identifying exactly why you are calling them. They may be able to speak to, well, yeah, we have actually had issues with our Comcast in the area today. Talk to me about a business class connection and a managed firewall for load balancing. Individual things like that because you're using the what's in it for me approach, it's absolutely going to work for you. Whereas if you were just talking about yourself and about the company and about what we do, you would not be able to uncover those opportunities. We obviously want to ask targeted questions. We want to make sure that people are comfortable with us on the phone and that they understand why we are calling. So you want to make sure when you're on these calls that you are confident, that you're speaking with authority, but at the same time that you understand that this is not the end-all be-all for every person that you're going to speak to. You want to make sure that you come across as confident and strong, but also humble. You don't want them to think that they're speaking to some wheeling and dealing sales guy on the other end of the phone. At the end of the day, we are consultants. Our job is to give impartial third-party advice, the best possible advice to our clients. You can't do that if they think that you're just, an extremely arrogant salesperson on the other end of the phone. We obviously do not want you to be meek and mild. We want people who are willing to speak their mind, but at the same time, we also want individuals who understand the value of having your clients view you as a humble individual. So, last thing that we want to say is, we want you to write your script. We want you to take the scripts that we give you and put them into your own words. We want you to understand exactly what it is that makes a good approach, which is to ask the customer or let the customer know what exactly is in it for them. Let them know who you are, why you are calling, why they should do business with you. But we want it to sound like you. So take the scripts that we give you, rewrite them, put them into your own words, and let's get started. This has been the very first training that I have led on prospecting to executives, the first 20 seconds while you're on the phone. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again soon.